This week on today's Homeowner, we're creating a fantastic addition for a 100-year-old home. Don't miss the challenge of keeping it true to its past while we expand it for a growing family.
Boy, there's a lot of challenges when you own an older house like this. It takes a lot of time and resources to properly maintain it. But another big challenge is if you're having to add on to a house like this, it can really be tough because this is in a historic district in Mobile, Alabama. And like many historic districts across the country, there are a lot of restrictions on how much you can alter the exterior look of a building like this. Well, the gentleman that lives here already has a few children, and he's getting married very soon to a lady that has more children, so they're about to have a house full, so they need some more space. They need bedrooms, they need bathrooms, they need to alter some of the bathrooms that they have within the house, and to be able to figure out how to work out all that space was the first challenge for architect Pete Vallis.
They're kind of locked in here with the swimming pool in the backyard. They couldn't grow that way. They couldn't grow out to the side because there is an existing driveway. They wanted to keep that access to the backyard, access to the pool. He really didn't want to go above the porch either because we put a nice vaulted stained wood ceiling on the porch. We even looked at going up in the attic, and that would have been difficult, finding a place for another stair, relocating all the AC ducts. So after all that investigation, we settled on a building above the porch. Extending out on the side a little bit, still left them room for access around that. It gave us the correct amount of space above it for these additions. Gave them a nice back entry, that kind of mudroom, drop zone where you can drop book bags, sports things and that, and a big laundry room.
Pete, kind of talked with us and I think did a good job of listening to what we needed and wanted and then putting that in the context of the room that we had, and I think the plans that we have really are excellent. We're not planning on getting married till December, so hopefully that's plenty of time. We'll see.
While that goal is certainly doable, there isn't any time to waste. Even though the bulk of the added space will be above the back porch, the crew starts their work on the side where a new foundation has to go in to support part of the addition. The building code requires cinder block piers to support the addition, but the visible ones are being wrapped with a veneer of old brick so that they match the existing house. Because the house has been settling into its foundation for over 100 years, matching the old floor levels is a little tricky. But once that's done, the new walls start going up. And boy, are they tall. Again, to match the way the original house was constructed. Before work on the second floor can begin, that vaulted beadboard porch ceiling Mike loves has to come out along with the roof above it. Then laminated veneer lumber beams are added to bridge between the porch columns so that they can support the second level floor system, which includes a ton of 2x12s and dozens of sheets of plywood. Then finally, the walls for the second story can start going in place.
I'll have to admit, this is a little bit larger project than we normally feature, but building an addition of any size has a lot of similarities. You have foundation issues, all of the framing that's involved, and this proper selection of all of the architectural elements like windows, doors, and trim will really make or break an addition, especially one that's 100 years old. You really don't want it to look like an addition. Now, like Pete mentioned earlier, we have an entryway that will have a lot of storage and even a little small desk in the corner. Then we have the laundry room next to that butts right up to the existing screen porch. And the wall that's going to divide those hasn't been built yet, but will be built very, very soon. But the majority of the living space that they're gaining is up on the second floor. You can tell there's a lot of square footage here on the second level. Here's how it'll all be divided up. First of all, there'll be one bedroom right here, and then this space will be divided up to allow one closet on this side and then some space to be allocated for a closet that's already existing. Then right in the middle we'll have a bathroom that'll be shared by both that bedroom and another bedroom that'll be built right in that area. Always a good design when and you can have a bathroom that'll take care of 2 bedrooms side by side. Then we'll be removing this little roof section here. That way we can extend back into the floor system and utilize every square foot we have available here. Hey, believe it or not, we're going to finish this whole addition in this week's show. But first, let's check with Joe on his simple solution of the week.
We all spend a lot of time taking care of the outside of our house. So the last thing you want to do is damage it when you start to hang holiday lights or decorations of any kind. You start driving screws and pounding nails into the outside of your house, they'll eventually rust and stain the siding, or they can leave holes and allow water to penetrate. So here I'm hanging some holiday lights, and I came up with a really clever idea, I think, that eliminates any kind of metal fastener. These are plastic mounting squares that have a peel and stick backing. You just peel off the paper backing, clean the surface well, and just press it in place. Here you see I've got a couple in place already, right between the 2 windows. And then if you look closely, you see it has 4 slots on this mounting base, so you can insert a cable tie. It also has a hole in the middle where you can put in a screw, but we're just going to use cable ties. You just put the lights in there, snug this up, you'll hear it zip. There you go. Now if you want, you can come back with a pair of pliers and snip off this little tail. The nice thing is these will hold the lights or the decorations really secure in place. At the end of the season, you just snip off the cable tie, pull it out, leave the mounting base in place, and you can reuse it next year.
We are making a lot of progress on this very large and very lumber-intensive addition that we're building on to this existing home. We're right at the point where the guys are doing the last little bit of prep work so that the roof structure can be built over this entire addition that's going to add 1,000 square feet to the existing house. And this family needs every square foot of it because they're combining families, and this place will need to accommodate between the house and the addition 8 people, so they need every square foot of it that they can get. Now, we're pretty high off the ground here. You can probably see that we're about 30 feet from the ground itself, and the reason this is so tall is that we're having to match, of course, like you would on any addition, the ceiling heights and the floor heights. So because of the house being 100 years old, the old-fashioned tall ceilings, it's a long way from the ground. Now, it's also about 90 degrees out here with about 90% humidity, and making it even worse when you have an opening like we have here where the heat's just pouring out of that attic. It's pretty unpleasant here, so the guys will be anxious to get that shade established so they can finish the work down below. But some of the challenges with building onto an older house like this is you have to match a lot of things, including a large overhang like we have here. And there won't be plywood being nailed to the bottom of these joists. It'll actually be beaded board, so that means a lot of bead board that has to be run all the way around after the roof structure's done. A lot of work left to be done on this place.
The roof of the addition starts with a new ridge beam that ties into the existing house. From it, 2 other beams angle out to the corners of the addition to form a hip roof. After that, the rafters are filled in between them to form the plane of the roof. This is hard work under any circumstances, but when it's this hot and you're this high off the ground, nobody can relax for even a second. It's slow too because every one of these rafters have to be cut to size and handed up one at a time. Decking this thing isn't much easier either. As soon as the decking is secured, the roof wrap goes on and we can finally open up the access from the existing house. Pete designed it to go through an upstairs hall closet and part of a bathroom before reaching the addition. Of course, once that happens, the addition begins to affect the existing space and the homeowners.
Well, the house is a mess. I mean, one thing, when you look at the plans, it all looks like it's added to the back. But when you actually do it, you realize that addition to the back affects almost every room in the house except for the very front houses. So we only really have 1 bedroom right now that's untouched.
Well, we finally got everything cut through so that we have access to the new addition, and Joe, is everything working out like the architect planned on it?
Just like he planned it, but with these 100-year-old houses, we had some problems. We've got floors that aren't level, and the new addition is level, and tying it all together is a little bit challenging.
Always a bit of a challenge, but this is kind of cool when you see the old lath and plastering here and everything. I'm certainly glad we don't have to do that in the new part of the addition.
Drywall throughout.
Okay, what's the deal with the drain here? I mean, I've never seen that in the hallway.
The hallway access used to be part of the original master bathroom to the house. The plumber's going to be removing this, and we're going to be putting a new shower in on the smallest bathroom.
I don't know if you know this or not, but years and years ago, we actually remodeled this whole bathroom, and I'm sure you had a chance to help them move that big red tub.
We did. We could have used some help getting it out of here this time.
We needed a lot of help when we brought it up those stairs. Weighed almost 600 pounds. So let's see the layout here. We've got one bedroom down here. We've got bathrooms in the middle. We've got closets, plenty of windows, and another nice-sized bedroom here. But understand, you had to do a little work here in order to gain enough space for this bedroom, taking a little bit of the space from the existing bedroom.
This was the original second floor back wall of the house, and we had to steal about 3 feet from the original bedroom over there. We had a little bit of challenging, but the engineer put us in a beam design to carry the weight of this wall. It's spanning across the kitchen below it with the floor joist running with the beam.
Yeah, when I saw you guys framing this, I thought maybe you got that upside down, because usually you would see a beam up in the upper part of it there. So.
Structurally, it's the same. This way, we just don't have to pick it up.
Well, it's going along really good, Joe, but it's still awfully hot. If you get some windows and close this up a little bit, maybe we get some air conditioning in here.
Sounds good to me.
Right now, check out our best new product of the week.
When I'm asked what my favorite type of flooring is, I have to admit I love carpet because it just feels so good on my bare feet. But I will say that the #1 complaint of carpet is that it stains and that it's hard to clean. Well, yeah, up until now. Take a look at this. This is Mohawk carpet, and they've come out with Smart Strand. And this carpet is pretty darn smart, and I'll tell you why. First of all, it is stain resistant. Take a look at this sample right here. This is a typical nylon piece of carpet that was stained with red wine, and it was cleaned, and that's about as good as it's going to get. This one right here, same thing, although this is the Smart Strand carpet. When it was cleaned, all of that came right out with just mild detergent and warm water. You know what else makes this carpet very smart is how environmentally sound and safe it is. This carpet, the polymer, was made with corn sugar, which is a renewable resource, so it's not as harsh for the environment. So you can see right here that this is a pretty smart carpet. I think I'm going to have to get Danny to get me some of this so I can put it in my house.
This week we're adding on to a 100-year-old home to create more space for a growing family. The detail work necessary in the renovation of historic homes, like reusing windows, siding selection, and matching the beadboard soffits, can tend to slow things down. But inside, the drywall work has gone quickly, getting us ready for the next step.
Now that all the drywall is finished, these rooms are so spacious, especially with 11-foot ceilings. Now, after all of the finishing was complete, the paint crew dropped by and applied 1 coat of primer to all of the walls, and they tinted the primer a color very close to what the finished color will be. That gives them a little bit of a head start on all of the finish work. But right now, it's all about doors and trim. And this is where it all starts, with the custom doors we had made that will match the existing doors. That's a 6-panel wood door, and that'll be the first step in trimming this addition out, is to put the doors in place, and then the trim carpenters will be attacking this mountain of trim. Now, this is positioned right in the hallway between the old part of the house and the new part of the house, about the only place we could find to accommodate these long lengths. Now, our job foreman, Joe Denson's, one of his specialties, trim, and you got a lot of trim to put in here, buddy.
It's quite a pile of it. We've got our hands full with it.
Now, the challenge, of course, is 100-year-old molding and brand new molding. How can we make it match? Joe, we got a few tricks, and we've used those for years, haven't we?
We do. Let me show you out here in the hallway. The problem we're not really going to have is the baseboards. This is regular 1x stock and a base cap and a piece of stop. All that's still available to us.
That's the easy part.
The original casing of the house is milled in one piece, though, and we're not available to get this type of molding anymore.
Well, if we did, and it costs so darn much to have someone custom make that, when all you have to do is modify a little existing trim and you end up with something that looks just like it.
We did this trim in this house several years ago in a renovation we did. What we did was we took 3 pieces of trim and created the look of the one-piece molding.
Mm-hmm. And of course, I remember this a few years ago. It wasn't as easy as you're making it sound, because these little pieces of corner molding aren't exactly the size to match this. So a little bit of work, well, maybe a whole lot of work had to take place on the table saw.
That's true, and also remember, this is 3 cuts, where that's just 1 cut.
Right, well, that adds to the work, and you do have a lot of work to do here.
Once again, the level of detail required here slows the pace down. Imagine those 2 extra cuts Joe mentioned on every piece of door casing that goes up. And besides that, there are simply more pieces of trim, since all of this stuff is layered. Eventually it's done. Then it's time for the wood floors. In this case, yellow pine to match the heart pine in the existing house.
While the finishing is taking place on the wood floor upstairs, I thought you might like to see part of this renovation is completely finished and the homeowners are getting a lot of use out of it already. Now this is a new side entryway into the home and a small addition that was part of the renovation. And one of the first things you'll notice is the custom size of this door. And boy, they did it right with the tall door, very much keeping with the character of the house, plenty of glass, but still it'll be very energy efficient because it's double pane glass. So all of this natural light can flood right into this area. Look at all the storage, all of these cabinets utilizing the higher ceilings and two different little knee spaces for work spots right here. What a great way to utilize this little space. Now, another area that'll get a lot of use actually already is the adjustable cubicles right here by the side door so that a lot of things can be dropped off. Next to that, a full laundry room. And with a large family like this, that place will get a lot of use, and they can't really do without that washer and dryer for very long with a big family like this. But one of the first things I noticed kind of striking is this woven vinyl floor. I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like this. They say it's very durable, which is good because this is the entryway that'll get more use than any other entry on the home. Now this is a finished floor, but upstairs a lot more work has to be done to the wood floor. While the remaining work on those floors is being completed, let's take a break and check out this week's Thinking Green segment. No doubt you've probably heard the phrase, out of sight, out of mind. And while it's true you may not be able to see the places around your home where energy loss is happening, it's a fair bet when you get the monthly utility bill, it's definitely on your mind. Luckily for us, technology has advanced to the point that allows us to see the invisible. An energy audit of your home is a worthwhile investment because it pinpoints the sources of energy loss so you can correct the problem. And now the tools the pros use are available to anyone. Tools like this can detect leaks around doors and windows by measuring the surrounding temperature. It can also detect an overloaded circuit that could possibly cause a fire. You can even rent state-of-the-art thermal imaging cameras that give you a chilling account of where your home's envelope needs to be sealed. So take advantage of these tools and turn out of mind into peace of mind.
The addition to this 100-year-old house is complete. The owner and his fiancée are combining their families and they need space, lots of it. The addition includes 2 more bedrooms, another bath, a larger laundry, and a mudroom. We reduced the size of an upstairs bathroom to gain access with a new hallway which tees into another hall. On either end of this hall is a bedroom, both with soaring ceilings like the rest of the house and lots of light. The detailed trim and rich pine floors give the addition all the character of the original house, so it all blends together. In between the bedrooms is a shared bath that includes that red tub that Mike wanted to save. Downstairs, the larger laundry should get plenty of use with this big family, and the drop zone inside the new side entry will doubtlessly stay busy too. From the outside, no one will be the wiser either because the siding, windows, and trim details all mimic the original historic construction.
We always want to disguise the fact that we've added on to a home, and that's especially gratifying when it's a historic home like this one. And we completed everything before Mike's wedding. Hey, thanks for coming along with us on this one, and we hope to see you next week here on Today's Homeowner.
Renovation is all about decisions, so don't miss next week when we explore the 5 biggest ones you'll face in a kitchen remodel.